Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, today I have Kristen Wonch on the line, and she's founder over at Compounding Queens. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's so good to be here.
All right, Kristen. So we got a lot to talk about here. First off, love the name Compounding Queens. I gotta break form here, and I just gotta ask, how'd you come up with that name? I love the name.
You know what? It's really empowering women around something that we don't talk about or dive into a lot, which is investing. And so
Mm,
for many years, women were not even empowered to earn their own money. And so there's a
hmm
big focus on how do I make more money? And, really the work that I do is educating women and people around the power of getting your money invested, which is compounding,
mm.
like exponential growth very effortlessly.
Yeah, I remember when I was real young, just starting to getting to know a little bit about investing and whatnot. And I read it. I don't know if it's true or not, but I read an article or something about Warren Buffett and how he thinks in compounding. And there was some, this is the writer of the article projecting, but like when he buys a hot dog, he's not thinking about buying a hot dog. He's using like the rule of 72 and he's compounding that out on like what that hot dog cost over X amount of years. And it was kind of a funny example, but ever since then, I always remember that thought of like compounding
Yeah.
and like how it can really change lives.
Well, and there's a reason that he's a billionaire, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's go a step further here. So let's go back in time a bit here. When did you get started in finance or even wanting to help women with their investing?
Yeah, I mean, those are two different questions, actually. I spent
Mm,
many years as a commodities trader in Calgary, Alberta. So I have an MBA
hmm
in finance and spent many years working in corporate. And I was one of a handful of women on the trading floor. And so I'm really good with
What was that like? Start there for a moment. Like in Alberta, you said?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
It was crazy. Life looked very glamorous and I was making great money. I was,
Yeah.
one of a handful of women. I achieved in, a couple of months what took a lot of people decades to get onto a
Whoa.
desk. And even though my life looked very glamorous, I was really living in fight or flight. Like I was addicted to adrenaline and the job and the industry really required that. And so when I left the industry, it was sort of a moment where I was just like, I cannot keep doing this to myself.
Mm.
Like the checking all the boxes and achieving a lot of success sometimes ends up leaving us really unfulfilled at the end of it. And
hmm
I just knew I couldn't continue doing that.
Yeah, that environment sounds interesting to me. I mean, for some of the younger audience, wouldn't know exactly what that kind of meant working on the floor or any of that kind of stuff. But I just remember seeing like movies and videos, things like that of people doing it. And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. It looks like it was interesting. But you're right, the adrenaline and everything else that it looked like it went with it to do that day in and day out seemed a little bit stressful to me. Am I off?
Yeah. I mean, I was attached to my phone 24/7 basically.
Mm,
And my job, I would fly all around North America. I had an unlimited expense account and wine dining clients was a big part of my job. Like I was structuring multi-million dollar deals. And so building relationships was a big part of it. And so what was really required in that industry was a lot of partying and a lot of late nights and a lot of things that weren't really serving me. And it seems like a lifetime ago now, but yeah, I'm grateful that I get to take all of the skills that I learned there
hmm
with the work that I now do with women.
And so now you pivoted. You obviously are working with women. Like, tell me how you got that first. Where did that seed of that idea start? Like, at what point?
When I got laid off from trading, I could have gone back to get another gig in the industry, but I just knew I couldn't keep doing that. And I didn't really know what was on the other side. And honestly, I don't share this story a lot, but I took my severance package and I went down to Costa Rica and I really just was trying to understand like what was next for me. And it was on that plane, I think I read Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In. And I knew, I think, in
Hmm.
that moment that I was meant to change the world for women, but it was years before I would understand and uncover. And I think this is probably true for most people. It's not linear. And it's not like we just decide and we know what our purpose is and how that it all unfolds. And so I had a few different businesses over the years and I owned a co-working space and I was doing coaching with a lot of women and I was just hearing them say the same thing again and again. I'm not good with numbers. I'm not good with money. It's just not my thing. And the program that I now run and the work that I do is really the intersection of a couple of things, my background in finance and my expertise in the industry, my work in personal development and really rewiring a lot of my own beliefs around money and investing and what women can create with money and really doing
Mm-hmm.
internal work to show up in the way that allows you to create the results around money and investing and wealth that you want. And the fact that women really need this. Like I presented on, actually, I was speaking at 2 different events over the last couple of days, and so many women came up to me afterwards and they're like, you're exactly what I've been looking for. Like I've never met anyone else teaching this to women. And so business has just been incredible. And I feel grateful that I get to do work that really lights me up every day. I feel so on purpose.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. Are you a financial advisor or you're not a financial advisor? I just want to make sure I have that right before we go on.
Yeah, it's an important distinction. I'm
Yeah,
not a
it is.
financial advisor. And so one of the things that I actually teach are advisors manage your money. And I
Mm-hmm.
teach you how to manage it on your own. And one of the things people don't understand, and what Warren Buffett knows very well, is that the fees that advisors take are make or break. Like a 1% fee adds up to 26% of your portfolio over the next 30 years. And that's not the only fee that they're charging you. And so basically, when you're working with an advisor, often your portfolio is underperforming. And the fees that they're taking can be like 2/3 of your portfolio over time. And nobody has any idea that's happening. And so what I teach in a very short period of time. I teach you how to make decisions around your investments. I teach you how to manage your own portfolio, how to understand it very simply. So it's not confusing and complicated, and you're not trying to day trade Bitcoin. It's actually very boring, consistent, profitable, predictable gains. And I coach you through how to understand making decisions around it. And so that's really important for me is I don't want you to have to rely on me forever. I want you to know how to do it on your own.
Are there differences in the ways that money's managed between, and I'm asking this question because your company's called Compounding Queen. So is there a difference between how men and women kind of approach investing in money?
Totally. So there's a couple of things biologically, and I'm all for equality, but it's important to understand men and women are different. And I think those differences are important and we don't have to be the same. And so men are biologically wired because of testosterone to be bigger risk takers. Like that's just what testosterone does for them. And so they are also very much socialized from a young age to believe that growth is good. They're celebrated for earning, they're celebrated for making lots of money, and they're told that they're good with numbers, they're good at math, they're good with money. And so men are really their whole lives, and this is, these are obviously broad blanket statements. Not
Mm-hmm.
every man or every woman is like this, but men are optimizing for growth. And so they're asking themselves with 10 grand, how do I create 100 grand out of this? Whereas women biologically wired to be risk averse. And they're also socialized to not just believe that they're bad with math and bad with numbers. I hear so many women tell me that like it's just a fact. And it's just a story that they've been telling themselves for years. And women, unfortunately, are often really judged for earning at high levels. There's the feeling that you need to shrink in order to be liked or loved, or even, will I be intimidating to men that I'm dating? Which means that women are optimizing for saving a lot of the time. So they're taking their 10 grand and they're like, how can I save this? And it's the reason that men not just out earn, but outgrow women. It's the reason that most of the world's billionaires are men, one of the reasons. And so I think it's so important for women, particularly, to be aware of that and how that framing and that mindset around risk aversion and feeling like you need to shrink in order to be liked or, valued really impacts their ability to grow.
Yeah, I can see that. And I'm glad that you bring that out too, because I go to this thing once a year. It's put on by Marymount College in California, and they call it State of Women. And it basically talks about like earnings, and it tracks a lot of different things, like even like, and it fits right into what you're talking about compounding. Because if you just even take it a layer deeper and think about maybe a woman takes off a couple years of work because she's going to be raising the child in the first couple of years, like what does that do to her if she has a 401k or however she's investing, that's multiple years. And that compounding of that income that would have been invested over, 20, 30 years, that makes a difference, right?
Totally.
hmm
Yeah.
So looking at all these things, I do like to give my audience some type of thing they can take away or something that's actionable. If you were to, talk to the individuals that are all listening and give them like a tip or something where they can start now, what kind of things would you tell them?
I really think it's back to what I was saying. It's like, is your brain optimizing for growth?
hmm
Or are you optimizing for saving, right? And is that getting you the results that you want? And I think a lot of people, when they start to approach investing, they think that what makes a great investor is like gambling, right? We have to go to the casino and we're trying to pick the next Bitcoin or the next Amazon, and they might invest in a couple of things. And when we do that, it is like going to the casino. And what ends up happening anytime somebody tells me they lost all of their portfolio or everything went to zero, I know that that's how they're approaching it. So,
Mm,
or if they're trying to day trade, it's very much like gambling, and it is super risky versus just, back to what you were saying with Warren Buffett, just investing in the average of the market and really diversifying your investments into a number of places. It gives you predictable, profitable growth that you don't have to watch every day. You don't have to watch the market. You don't have to worry about whether your investment's going to zero. You're not reliant on the growth of any one company or any one cryptocurrency in order
mm.
to make lots of money in the long term.
Yeah, that's great. Kristen, if somebody, first off, it's been great having you on the show today. We don't always get this perspective, in my opinion, in the media. So love what you're doing over at Compounding Queens. If somebody's listening or watching this and they want to follow up and they want to connect with you and your team, how do they do that?
Yeah, you can look me up on Instagram. So my Instagram is Kristen Wonch, KristenWonch.XOX. And if anybody listening wants to DM me on Instagram, I have two different freebies I could give to you. One is a free training called Investor Secrets. It's breaking down some of the crazy things that nobody is telling us about the finance industry, how investors and working with advisors actually works and the impact of it on your portfolio. And the other one is actually an investment growth calculator. So you can pop your numbers in there, whatever you have invested at the moment, your contributions, your rate of growth, and it will actually show you like how much do I need for financial freedom?
Mm,
And do my numbers actually make sense? So if anyone wants to DM me on Instagram, I'm happy to share either of those.
amazing. And for everybody, leave that handle one more time, please.
KristenWonch.XOX.
Fantastic. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so you can just click on the link and head right on over and connect with Kristen. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show, each and every day, bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way on your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Kristen, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the work that you're doing.